A very welcome back to GB News. It is 23 minutes to 4 o'clock on this Thursday afternoon. We're on TV, online and on your radio. Thank you very much indeed for your company. Do get in touch, by the way, gbviews at gbnews.uk. Lots of people very animated about Rishi Sunak and his wealth. We'll come on to that in a moment. But first, let's go to Northern Ireland, because it is just under a month until voters there head to the polls to elect 90 members of the Northern Irish Assembly. In the latest polling, Sinn Féin have a pretty significant lead over the DUP, the Democratic Unionist Party, meaning they could be on course to secure the most number of seats at Stormont for the first time ever. Well, join me now to discuss all of this is our very own GB News presenter and former First Minister of Northern Ireland, Arlene Foster. Arlene, as always, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Just first of all, I mean, we're a couple of weeks into the campaign, aren't we? How's your assessment of how it's going so far? Because certainly the narrative from over here, looking at it, was that that unionism was pretty divided going into these elections.
Well, it's good to be with you, Darren, and to speak with our viewers and listeners. First of all, let me say this is going to be an incredibly tight election. Now, you may have heard that before, Darren, because inevitably in Northern Ireland elections are always quite tight. But back in 2017, the DUP had 28 seats in the Northern Ireland Assembly and Sinn Féin achieved 27. So even then, it was incredibly tight. At that time, the DUP got 28.1% of the vote and Sinn Féin got 27.9% of the vote. And I think what you're seeing now at the moment is a lot of moving around. So in terms of the polls, other parties seem to be coming up the polls, and even Sinn Féin has lost some of their vote percentage as well. But definitely at the moment, most of the polls are saying that Sinn Féin is ahead, varying from about 4 to 2% ahead in the polls. But I would say it's all to play for. It's 4 weeks to go. And of course, nominations close tomorrow. So we'll find out how many candidates will be in the race.
And when it comes to the kind of big talking points, clearly there's the notes and bolts of politics that matter in Northern Ireland, such as inflation and the National Health Service and everything else. But they're more than anywhere else. Is it still the protocol that is dominating the political discourse?
Yes, I think the protocol, certainly from a unionist point of view, is dominating the discourse. As you know, there are still ongoing protests in relation to the protocol. Tomorrow night, there's quite a large crowd expected in Lurgan in County Armagh for a protocol protest, and we've been covering them here on GB News. So the protocol is very much out front, along with, as you're right to point out, the cost of living crisis, which is keenly felt here as well, because, of course, the protocol adds to that cost of living crisis in terms of costs being added on to goods that are coming across from GB into Northern Ireland, and the NHS and education. Those are the sort of things you would expect anywhere in the UK, but the protocol, of course, is very much to the fore.
What if we do end up, Arlene, with Sinn Féin being the largest party? Because, of course, Stormont, or the executive, is suspended, isn't essentially at the moment. I mean, is there a possibility that it doesn't come back? Essentially, until the protocol is sorted, and we seem a long way away from that as well, that unionists simply will not go back into government?
I think what you'll see after these elections, in any event, Darren, will be a period of talks, because even after any election, there was always a period of time before the executive was put into place. Usually it was 7 days. That has been changed now under changes that were made after the New Decade, New Approach agreement from the beginning of 2020. So there'll be a period of time to elect an executive, and there will be talks that will take place after this election. I know people may not want to hear that being the case, but I'm afraid that we will see a period of talks after this election. And it'll just be very interesting to see who wins out on the day, because, of course, it is a PR election. The constituencies are 5-seaters. They were 6-seaters, as you will recall. That was changed at the last election when we moved from 108 seat assembly to 90-seat assembly. So this is only the second time that we've had an election to a 90-seat assembly here in Northern Ireland.
And just very finally, Arlene, given all the let's say, disruption there's been, the kind of ups and downs and the to's and fro's in Northern Irish politics, particularly over the last couple of years. I mean, is there still a real desire, though, across the board, unionists, nationalists, everyone in between, to have Stormont, that local government still matters there, that decisions essentially are made in Belfast as much as possible?
Well, I think if you asked me that question 2 years ago, I would have said a resounding yes. I think unionists have become quite they're dissatisfied with the Assembly because of the protocol, and they see protocol as having a real problem for us here, separating us off from the rest of the United Kingdom. But I think on the main, people do like to have their own elected ministers taking decisions. They like to see them being their own people there because they understand what the people of Northern Ireland want and what the people of Northern Ireland need. So I would say on balance, people would still like to see a Stormont Assembly, but that is not ruling out that they would also like to see reform of the Northern Ireland Assembly, and they would like to see it working more efficiently and more effectively.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.